Okay, so today I'm going to be sharing with you about the School of Nursing faculty annual evaluation process. I think you're really going to like it. So the basis for our faculty evaluation process is our rubric. And just like our students, rubrics can help define and clarify expectations for performance in key areas. And the use of rubrics encourages a more balanced, objective view of evaluating performance. As with all rubrics, we anticipate our rubric will be adapted and changed over time. For example, the rubric presented in this video is a draft of the final rubric. Using this rubric also gives us the opportunity to shift towards a more formative, continual improvement approach rather than focusing on one final score. So the process, whoops, wrong one. The process for you is going to begin with an email. And so in this email, you're going to receive 3 items. First of all, there's a copy of the evaluation rubric, and that's going to be used for the current reporting period. And so for us, the reporting period runs from the summer term, followed by the fall term, and ending with the spring term. The next thing you have is the actual evaluation form. This form is a spreadsheet that you complete using whichever method works best for you. And finally, there's a sample of what your annual report will look like. And so this final report is actually printed out of our Sonic database. And the paper version of the report will be circulated for signatures, and the signed copy will be placed in your faculty folder. Okay, let's look at the rubric. Okay, so this has been a process, and like I said, it's still a work in progress. So some of the things that you should note about it is that if you look down the left-hand side, you see the blue, and these are the criteria that's related to teaching, and then we have a section on scholarship and a section on service. You'll notice that teaching has the most criteria associated with it. Next, you'll notice across the page, there are 4 columns: exemplary performance, professional performance, improvement required, and unsatisfactory performance. And so each cell outlines exactly what the level of performance you need to have in order to basically claim that level of achievement within the rubric. And so then as you scroll down the rubric, you may find that there are criteria that don't actually fit your position, or if you go later into the scholarship area, that don't actually fit within your individual scholarship plan at the time. Our process is a little bit flexible in that in the actual evaluation form, as you move through it, you'll be able to say, hey, this criteria does not apply to me, or mark it as not applicable. And so those criteria are not used in determining, your overall performance. So in some places, you'll see examples, and if you click on that, it'll take you through to give you more detail about the type of activities that could be included to demonstrate your performance in that area. So before you get started, you're going to really want to take time and look at this rubric, get the big picture of what the elements are and how they all fit together. And it's, just so that you understand where we're at and where we're headed moving forward. So now that we've done that, let's go ahead and go to the actual evaluation form. Now, one of the things that you'll see, this is an attachment, and you're going to save it down to like your local desktop, and from there you can move it to wherever you want to. I also recommend that you rename it to distinguish yours from the template. And if prompted, you're going to need to click on Enable Editing because you will be editing this workbook. Now, if you want to kind of remove the clutter, if you just click on this little arrow here, that collapses that ribbon and it gives you, it's a little bit cleaner to work with, a little bit easier. So the first thing that you want to do is to enter your name. This is a pre-populated list of our faculty. And you also want to enter the academic year. Now, one of the things to note about the name is that we are syncing up with data from Banner, so your formal name is being used here. So that's, just keep that in mind for those of you that have a preferred name. So then in the center of the page, you can see these are all the criteria from the rubric. And right now the self-evaluation is not applicable because we haven't done anything yet. As we move through the workbook and update our self-evaluations, it will be updated here as well. And then over here on the right is just kind of a little short list to kind of, you know, keep you on track of, you know, what needs to happen. And so enter your name, enter your academic year, and then it's saying that for each of the criteria, we can either click on the link or click on the tab, and we're going to complete that page, and then we'll come back and do the next page and continue on through. So let's go ahead and look for, checking my notes. We'll do academic program planning. And so if you find a criteria that you're not real comfortable with, go on to the next one and fill in the things that you're most comfortable with, and then come back and work on the things that might be a little bit more abstract or challenging, like this one I think is a little bit challenging. And so basically you want to come in, you want to read the rubric, find out what it's saying, enter your evidence. So I participated in GEC, UEC, and GCCC on a regular basis. Okay, it's like, okay, well, that's, I don't know necessarily if it's, that was exemplary, but we're just going to pick professional performance for this one. And so then you have options of, you can click here to go to the next tab. You can click there to go to return summary, or you have this option of here, if you click on this, right click on that arrow, you can see all the sheets that are in this workbook. And I'm going to go ahead and zoom forward to instructor experience, because that's one that's a little bit different. And all these worksheets are set up the same, so that there's the rubric across the top, there's a place where you can select your performance, and there's a place for you to document your support for why you evaluated yourself the way you did. So for this one, there's a couple extra little things you want to do, because this is based upon the score that you received on your Explorance Blue evaluations. So if you're going to want to go out to Explorance Blue and pull some data, just a couple numbers. So if you log into Explorance Blue, you can go to Instructor Dashboard, and if you scroll down, there's an item called Instructor Experience. And you just want to, get everything moved over. You just want to enter those last three scores. So that's 4.65, and that's greater than a 4, so that gives that exemplary. And so then I can make a comment. And so this is just to help you for your self-evaluation. For your final report, we'll actually be pulling the data, all the data from Explorers Blue, and that will be in your final report. And I'll show you that later. So then, just checking to make sure we're at. So now let's go ahead and go. Oh, if you find that you have some things that you want to express that are accomplishments, things that you've done that don't fit into any of the criteria in the rubric, at the very end, there's a place called Other Faculty Accomplishments, and you can add that information there. So then we'll go back to the summary page, and you can see that based upon what we selected in those two areas, it's showing up here, and you can see our overall rating has been changed to professional performance. And this overall rating is based upon just the ones that you fill out. It doesn't take into account those that don't apply to you. So coming over here, the next thing that tells us to do, basically in 8 and 9, is that we need to update our goals. So this next tab is right here, Goal Status. And so this is where you would take your goals from your previous annual report and you would enter them in. And so it would be like, manage, I don't know which course, which one? Oh, my goals, yeah. Course design on 8 BSN courses. And then I would do my status and it says, actually completed. Completed 5 BSN courses. And you would just go through those, integrate, BitGrid, pilot, let's say that better. Pilot and research, BitGrid, and we can say pilot completed. Now, one of the things that you'll want to do with these goals is over here, there's a category, Center of Excellence category, and you want to select where that kind of fits in. And so maybe what we need to do is, this is really Quality Matters design. And so that puts that in the excellence category. Pilot and research VidGrid would be innovation, and you might have something that's a personal growth, or it doesn't fit, just put other, okay? So that's how you do your goal status. Then for new goals, it's very similar. My new goals are pilot and research. We have a new tool coming in, Learn Bright, simulation VR stuff, simulation VR software. And so that would be innovation. Okay, so then you just fill out your goals. That's how you do that. If you find that you've got more than 20 goals, call me and we'll see what we can figure out for you. So that's it. You're done with that form for now. So what happens from there? So if we come back here, you're going to send the form to your immediate supervisor. And there's a couple things here that you're going to note, is that if we go back to, and I'll talk about those later on, And then your supervisor will review and add comments. Then you're going to meet with your supervisor and you can make updates to this form. So here's where your supervisor can make comments. And then here's where you can add your own response after you've made all your adjustments. Finally, the form will be sent to the database administrator, and right now that's me. And I'll print out the final copy that will be given to the admin staff to obtain all the signatures, and I'll also send you an electronic copy for your records. So that's that form, and don't forget to save it. So then the third attachment that was in the email is a sample of the final annual report. And so this report actually comes out of our Sonic database. And so this first page is the summary page that we saw, and you can see, you know, here's the categories, and here's the ratings, and here's an overall. One of the nice things is as you're filling out picking your level of performance is don't get caught up in, you don't have to have all exemplary performance in order to be an overall rating of exemplary. For example, I have professional here and improvement required and professional and, you know, improvement required, and overall it's still exemplary. So this is really meant to be a formative assessment tool, not to be a punitive kind of action. So then the next page is, here's the goals, and here's the progress towards the goals. Here's the new goals. And so then when we get to teaching, here's where we've pulled in the data from Explorance Blue. And so it has all that raw information there for you. Then here's the criteria and the different accomplishments, the overall rating. You can see that for scholarship, there's a couple of special areas. One is for publications and presentations, the APA references. And then there's a section for grants, things that were submitted, that were funded, that were not funded. Then again, here's all the elements related to scholarship. Service, here's the information about what committees you're a part of, and that's pulled from the Sonic database. And then here's all the elements related to criteria related to service and the accomplishments. And then the final page is, here's the comments, the review comments, and then the signatures. So this is, so that's all we need for that. Let me check on something. Okay, so going back to the scholarship area, these two things, publications and presentations and grant applications, they're special. They're treated differently because a lot of times these things are shared. So for example, on this publication, there were 5 authors. And so we want to manage that a little bit differently. Plus there's information that this is information that Jane, as the dean, needs to report on periodically to other people. So there's that report. So if we go to Sonic, how do you update that? How do you put in your APA references and all that? So the first thing to know when you do that is that you have to get to the S drive. And so getting to the S drive means that you either have to be at your computer at work or you have to connect via VPN. So you'll want to go to S, You want to go to nursing. You want to go to Sonic. And so from here, you can do a couple things. One is you can go to the main menu, and that shows you everything, all the different kinds of data that's in our system. And you can just click on faculty management, or you could go to the faculty management database directly. When you click on it from here, notice it's flashing down here. So you'll need to go down to the taskbar and click on it to get there. So here's our little menu. It's pretty simple. So if you have grant applications or APA references you want to enter, you want to check to make sure that they haven't been entered yet. So select the academic year that applies, print the report, and it pulls it up, and there you can see, okay, these are the ones that are entered. Mine hasn't been entered yet, so it's okay for me to do that. So I can go back to, excuse me just a minute. So I can go back to the main menu, click on Manage APA References, and okay, here's this form, and I want to do a new one. Well, up here at the top, there's a little button that says New. So I just click on New. There it is. And I drop down this arrow, and it kind of categorizes them. Maybe not all the categories are there, and this is an area we can continue to expand. But again, this is an area that Jane has to report on. So you can put, you know, your reference that I did another presentation, and I presented at, you know, I put the APA reference in there, and you want it to be official. And if you need to do italics, does it give it to you? There it is, Control I, and you can make it italics, so you don't want to forget the italics when you do this. If there's a URL, put the URL. Now this is redundant information, and we know that. The reason we want it again is that makes it easier to sort and find things and pick it off the list later if we have it broken out this way. And then what you do is you just pick the people off the list who participated. And so that's all you have to do for that. And I'm in the habit, normally you don't have to worry about saving and access, but I'm in the habit of when you have made a change, there's this little pencil up there, and I'm in the habit of always clicking on that pencil just to make sure. But normally you don't have to worry about it. So when you're done, you just close the window, and that's it. So that's all we have to do to talk about our School of Nursing faculty annual evaluation process. So at least that's enough for you to get started. Good luck. It's not meant to be onerous. It's meant to be helpful as a way for us to continue to grow and achieve the already excellent School of Nursing that we are.